GP on the Golden State Warriors, who once again punched their ticket to the NBA Finals, thanks in large part to a terrific performance from Klay Thompson. And it seems like it's back to normal in the NBA, right? Because Klay's healthy, Steph's healthy, and that means the Warriors are in the finals for the 6th time in the last 8 years.
It's an incredible story, especially given what some of those players have been through, most notably Klay Thompson. He's 32 years old and was coming off of multiple significant injuries. We didn't know if he'd ever be the same again. And, if we're being honest, he's probably not consistently the same player he was a few years ago. But he can still be really, really good, and he obviously was last night. And like you mentioned, the Warriors are now in the finals for the 6th time in an 8-year span. Just the 3rd franchise to ever do that. Although it's worth noting, LeBron James went to 8 straight NBA finals with 2 different franchises. So perhaps that should be viewed a little differently than it is by some. But either way, the Warriors not only in the finals, but at this moment the favorite to win the finals. And that means, Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, they could soon be 4-time world champions.
I mean, I think this puts them into the conversation to be a dynasty of this generation. The other name that deserves a ton of credit, Bob Myers.
Yes.
What they've done to have a stability within that organization where they had the worst record in the NBA, 2 years ago? And now they're back in the NBA Finals.
They're really smart people who follow basketball closely who thought they would never get back to this spot for a variety of reasons. They're getting older. Will they be able to rebound from injuries? Keep in mind, they used a top 5 pick in a recent draft on James Wiseman. That's amounted to nothing so far. Doesn't mean he can't still be a useful player going forward, but so far, nothing there, and yet here they are. It's interesting, Steph Curry did say last year after they were eliminated, before the playoffs even started, in the play-in tournament, he said, you're not going to want to see us next year. And so far, that looks like a fact.
Yeah, once again, Steph's a smart guy. The Mavericks, the team that lost to Golden State, impressive this postseason. They came close. Again, making it this far was a surprise to some. Despite the loss, though, Luka Doncic really happy with the way his team fought all season long. It does seem clear there is a ceiling for this version of the Mavs. So how would you put your GM hat on here? How would you like to see Dallas build around Luka so that they're a serious contender moving forward?
Well, first, let's acknowledge you just said a smart thing, and it's something I hope Dallas's front office recognizes, and I trust that they do. They're in the Western Conference Finals with a young superstar. They were not one of the 2 best teams in the West. There's no guarantee that this version of this team would ever get back to this place again. So they definitely got some work to do. What happens with Jalen Brunson is going to figure into everything. He's an unrestricted free agent and going to be worth a lot of money. But beyond that, they need another shot creator to, lighten the burden on Luka a little bit. And even more than that, I think, they need front court help. I mean, Golden State destroyed them in the front court. Kevon Looney, got at least 12 rebounds in 3 of these 5 games. He averaged more than 10 per game. Kevon Looney is a nice player, but he shouldn't be overwhelming you in the front court. So, is Rudy Gobert available out of Utah? If you're looking at other, maybe more attainable options, is Mo Bamba available? But they need to add something to the front court because, like you said, congratulations on getting to the Western Conference Finals, but that doesn't mean you're really one of the best teams in the West.
Let's move to the East, where the Warriors' finals opponent could be decided tonight as Boston takes a 3-2 series lead into Game 6 in Boston against the Miami Heat. Do you expect the Celtics to finish off this series? This has been a really weird one. Back and forth, games have been pretty ugly, one-sided each outing.
Yeah, it's been a close series in the sense that, it's 3-2 going into Game 6, and this isn't one where somebody was up 3-0 and then dropped a couple games. It was 1-0, then 1-1, 2-1, then 2-2. But the games have not been competitive. So we'll see what we get tonight, but there's nothing I saw in Game 5 that makes me think Miami's ready to go fight in Game 6. They did not really compete, and that was in their home arena when the series was still tied 2-2. And when you combine that with the fact that Jimmy Butler
if he's not healthy, there's no shot.
He's banged up. Kyle Lowry's banged up. Tyler Hero's banged up. I'd be surprised if they go into Boston tonight and extend this series to 7 and take it back to Miami. On the other hand, I did think it's at least notable. Draymond Green was on national television last night, and when Shaquille O'Neal asked him on TNT who do you want to play? He said, don't worry about who I want to play. I can just tell you who we're going to play. We're going to play the Boston Celtics.
Oh, wow.
And so Draymond had already eliminated Miami from this series, from the playoffs. Perhaps that's a motivating factor, but either way, I think the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it ends tonight, and this is the last game we'll have before the NBA Finals start next week.
You know the Heat are going to fight, though, so it should be a fun game. I mean, we're talking about the NFL and an offense in May, but where do you come down on the idea of this everybody type offense for the Chiefs?
I think you say that when you know you don't have the individual weapons that you used to have. Obviously, Travis Kelce will be there, and he'll catch more balls than anybody else. You know, he's surpassed 1,000 receiving yards in 6 straight seasons, which is a record for tight ends. I'm assuming if he's healthy, that'll go to 7. But where else they get production from is unclear. Like, Sky Moore is talented, but he is a rookie. Juju Smith-Schuster, was really good once upon a time, but his production has dropped off a little bit, and he is coming off an injury. So I think if you read between the lines there, what Patrick Mahomes is saying is we don't have 2 obvious go-to guys the way we used to. We've got one, and the rest of it probably going to be spread around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you had Kelce and Tyreek Hill accounted for about 50% of the targets, the completions over the course of the season. So there's the version of this where I agree with Patrick Mahomes and what Andy Reid's going to build and Eric Bieniemy are going to build, where if everybody's a threat, that's scary for a defense. But they have nobody on this roster that does strike fear in a defense every time he takes the field, and that's what you have with Tyreek Hill. Now, he was banged up last season. They didn't want to pay him all the money that he got in Miami. I understand the reasoning behind all of it, but they're not as scary an offense right now as they were with Tyreek Hill. And that's just the reality that they're going to have to live with until they prove that everybody is better than the fastest, most dangerous receiver in the game.
That's true, but here's the thing. They still got Patrick Mahomes, and he can make guys better than they might otherwise be, make guys better than other quarterbacks can make them. So I still trust this. Kansas City is going to be a franchise that puts points on the board.
The scoring and offense isn't going to be a problem for Kansas City. Some news you can use on a Friday, GP. Josh McDaniels, now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, leaving the door pretty wide open for Colin Kaepernick after the quarterback worked out for the Raiders this week. Is this move, or this destination, I should say, makes sense in your eyes?
It makes some sense, given that the Raiders could use an upgrade at backup quarterback, and perhaps Colin Kaepernick could be that. The reports out of the workout were mostly positive, looked to be in great shape, and the arm strength was there. The issue is obvious. He's 34 years old, and he hasn't played an NFL game since 2016. So is he equipped to play in the NFL at this moment in his life? That's a decision these front offices are going to have to figure out. But the idea that he's at least getting an opportunity to get in front of an NFL franchise is noteworthy, given everything that has been connected to this story over the years. And if he doesn't land in Las Vegas, I do think there's a sincere chance he lands somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's noteworthy. I think it's progress. It's positive progress. If he's capable, I'd love to see him in a camp this August, to see him truly get a shot to make a team and make an impact with a squad. I don't like Las Vegas as a destination. I just think for Colin Kaepernick to come in and compete, there's better destinations where the quarterback position's a bit more in flux. Derek Carr solidified himself as, at least for the next couple of years, the guy there. And I'm just not sure just being your conventional backup right out of the gates, and especially in a team that's ready to win, is the best spot. But again, it's positive progress, and we'll see what it leads to in August. More news in the NFL. This coming out of New Orleans, where Saints expect Michael Thomas to be ready to roll for training camp. The offense, GP, could be explosive. I mean, I think we forgot this is the best wide receiver statistically a few years ago. Now he's back with Jameis Winston and Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, he's the 2019 NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and really since then we've barely seen him play. He missed 9 games in 2020 and then every game last season. But the fact that he seems to be progressing well, and that he's at OTAs, I think is also encouraging. Remember, there was some reported friction between the two sides when he delayed the surgery till June, and things got a little sideways between he and New Orleans. But given that he's at OTAs, that suggests at least maybe that's a thing in the past, and perhaps we'll soon see him on a field, performing at the level we've already seen him perform at before.
I think the Saints are one of the most intriguing, compelling, to use a term of the show, teams coming up this season in the NFL because there's the potential to be maybe the best team in that division, and that includes the Tampa Bay Bucks. And then it could go up in flames because Jameis is thrown to the other team a lot. But he's going to have Michael Thomas, which is a good sign. All right, to baseball, or as I like to call it, the portion of the show where Gary cooks. Part of the show for the Yankees was starter Nestor Cortes, who was excellent, closing 8 innings against the Rays. Huge win for the Yankees in the AL East.
He's been terrific this season. 4 hits over 8 innings last night. He's now 4-1 with a 1.70 ERA. He was effective last season in 14 starts, 2.9 ERA. Even better this season, and he's among the reasons the Yankees are now, look at it, 32-13, 5.5 game lead in the AL East. It's the best record in baseball.
Let's roll through this last one with some more news you can use in Major League Baseball, where the Dodgers became the first team in the National League to 30 wins last night. This is the team to beat in the NL.
They looked that way in the offseason, given the moves that they made, among them adding Freddie Freeman, who hit his first homer in more than a month last night, and they've done nothing but look the part so far in this season. The lineup with Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, just loaded. And last night, 24 hits, 14 runs, most hits in a game for the Dodgers since 2014. Every starter had at least 2 hits. I know the Yankees got the best record in baseball. I would still consider the Dodgers the favorite to win the World Series.
Yankees-Dodgers World Series, TV ratings bonanza.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.